If we could address you directly right now.
Everything comes full circle.
That's number one.
I don't tell him what questions to ask me.
There are a lot of people around town that have the same question.
Brush my teeth. I'm gonna get washed in the morning.
I can't confirm or deny.
You know, just keep going a little bit longer here, Mike. Keep going a little bit longer.
Yo.
You know what I love, Steve? Being a jerk.
Listen, dude, we've been doing a show for 90 minutes.
I had a chance to listen to your last call. We game plan for PJ Hall.
Uncle.
I have a list of guys I would never hang out with. Your name is right on the top.
Do you like the worst song bracket we're doing?
It's considerably better than a supplement bracket. Let's start with that.
I won a limbo contest.
Oh, my God.
Fran Brown joining us.
These guys are working their butts off. They expect to see their fans.
You want extra money just because you're North Carolina? I'm in all right
What
now.
an honor for you and Jordan to be next to me.
every day.
This is Orange Nation.
There's music, there's fun, there's us. It's everything you could want all in one place.
With Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sibilia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have you with us alongside Paulie Sibilia. I'm Stephen Fontes. We welcome you into a Monday edition of Orange Nation. A lot to get to on the show today. We're going to talk lacrosse with Tim Leonard at 12:30. Andy Staples, National College Football host from On 3. He'll be on with us at 1 o'clock. Plus, we'll mix in your phone calls throughout. 315-437-7644. What's up, Paulie?
Not much, Steve. How was your weekend? Good Easter, good everything?
It was good, yes. Family in town. My grandmother, who, as you know, turns 100 next month, made a surprise visit along with my uncle from Buffalo, so that was great.
It was like WrestleMania at your house. Grandma out of nowhere.
We got to brunch, and I saw my uncle in the parking lot. I'm like, why is my uncle here? So anyway, my uncle and my grandmother made a surprise visit. It was very nice. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. But how do you feel today? Not being the most important Steve in Central New York today.
Yeah,
I mean, Steve Angeli,
right,
the quarterback of Notre Dame, is visiting.
He is visiting, and we saw that report, and I think the natural fit when we saw his name in the portal, I think everybody just initially tied him to Tennessee, right? It would make sense that they're looking for a quarterback, and he's looking for some playing time, and intriguing that he is here for a visit. You dig a little bit deeper in the story. He was offered by Syracuse when he was in high school. His head coach there, and you pointed this out before the show at Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, is Nunzio Campanelli's brother, Vito. So there are certainly some ties. He's a Jersey kid. Obviously knows Nunzio Campanelli and this staff to some degree. And it's a situation where he comes here. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. And if you get him, he all of a sudden would become the most experienced quarterback on the roster.
And you just had some money open up randomly.
Correct.
So, yeah. And he's not visiting Syracuse to be the backup either, right?
I wouldn't think so, because he's the backup right now at Notre Dame.
I was talking with Jordan and Tim and Brian out there. Like, if you're going to be a backup somewhere, you're the backup at Notre. You don't come to Syracuse to be the backup. You go be the backup at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
he's coming here to play. If he's coming here,
I would assume so. Wherever his next move is, he's going there to play. Is what you would assume.
If he comes here, would you expect movement from the Syracuse quarterback room out of the portal? Because this is wild, right? Like, isn't it?
I mean. Yeah, it's a business, and you're always looking to improve your team. And if you get somebody who you think is better,
he's going to at least push.
Sure. I mean, I think if you're able to get him, I think as a coaching staff, you would feel very good about that room.
Yeah.
Right? You would have a transfer from Notre Dame, a transfer from LSU, and a young guy in Jakari Williams that you feel like has a bright future. Now, it's up to those guys. 3 quarterbacks can't play. You need 2 good ones, and I think you'll end up with 2 good ones. One of them, might look to go elsewhere. But I think, the coaching staff has to worry about putting the best product on the field that they can. And if they feel like he is an upgrade, then you go after him.
Yeah.
And listen, Fran Brown on our show last week made no secret about the fact they were going to sign another quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
but they were also having the Georgia State quarterback visit at that time.
At the time, you looked at it and you said, okay, you're probably going to add, a backup. You're going to add like a Bryce Zephyr, right?
Yes,
for the basketball team. You're going to add a depth piece.
Yeah.
This, Steve Angeli would not be a depth piece, to your point. So let's see how it all shakes out. But again, the fact that he's got,
it would be good depth if he comes here.
It would be great depth. Whoever doesn't win the job of those three, I think you would feel good about that player as the backup.
And then you could possibly lose one, and then you got to go in the portal again and get another one. So it's insane.
Well, I think you go out and you got to put together the best roster you can.
Yeah.
And if you think like I said, I'll say it again. If you think he is an upgrade, of course you go after.
How do you feel about that after naming your starter?
Listen, it's big boy football, right?
Yeah, you're getting paid now, right?
I mean, you saw Trevor Pena. He was named a captain, and he said, so it works both ways. And this doesn't mean
I wasn't a fan of that.
Right, but this does not mean that Ricky Collins isn't going to be the starter. He could still win the job, right? I mean, if Steve Angeli comes here, I don't think any promises are going to be made. I don't think they're going to say, you're absolutely the starter. I think it's a situation where you come in and you compete, and somebody's going to win the job and somebody's not. And whoever wins the job will be the one. Whoever doesn't will be the backup. And and I think you start the season that way if that's the way that it plays out. But I have no problem with it. I think again, the players have all this flexibility now and all this empowerment. The coaches are putting together the best roster that they can.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because this is a different world for Syracuse. There is zero chance the quarterback that is tied to Tennessee would be visiting Syracuse at any point in the past 15 years.
Yeah.
Until Fran Brown came here.
Yes.
Our chat gets on John Wildhack a lot. There's one thing he did. He had help, I'm sure, but finding Fran Brown and actually pulling the trigger on it has been it's been a coup for Syracuse.
I mean, Fran said that at the that NIL summit they had a week or so ago on campus. During his public comments, he said something along the lines of, I appreciate John Wildhack for bringing me here. I'm not sure that he didn't exactly word it like this. Something along the lines of, I'm not sure I would have had the guts to do it, but he did, and it's worked out. It's worked out great. And you're right. I mean, this is a new day and age of SU football where they're in the mix for a quarterback like this. This was not the case
right
over the course of the last 20 years.
Kyle McCord wasn't coming to Syracuse.
No. So it's been impressive how he's been able to change the narrative here and turn things around, and we'll have to see how this whole thing shakes out. But whether they get him or not, again, I think it's SU fans are intrigued by this. I think it seems like, and it's exciting for them to be in the mix for a quarterback who's transferring from Notre Dame, and SU appears to be on his short list.
And Syracuse did see a big loss into the transfer portal over the weekend also, or Friday, and that's going to happen too. And when you see the kids list of schools, Texas, Georgia, it's hard for Syracuse.
You're talking about Murad Watson.
It's hard for Syracuse to compete with those. That's still going to be a problem.
Sure.
But you're in on players you were never in on before.
Right.
And Woolabo went into the transfer portal, and next thing you know, Syracuse has an offensive lineman from Louisville coming. So it's crazy. It's crazy, like, just even how that works. Like, oh, they lost an offensive lineman. That's weird. Oh, here's... So somebody got told that we got an offensive lineman coming, and
the two guys they lost were guys who had played a lot, but weren't necessarily penciled in for starters, right? And so I think that's a case where, again, they're always looking to upgrade their roster and to improve themselves, and he'll figure it out. I see in the chat somebody brings up the fact, well, Fran contacted Wildhack.
They vetted him, for God's sakes, guys.
And John Wildhack, he did go out on a limb here to hire him, right? I mean, I think we all see now, and we can look back a year and a half and say, well, of course he hired him. It was a no-brainer. It was not a no-brainer at the time. Had no head coaching experience, did not have coordinator experience. Those
probably
were
didn't
two
know who
things.
The hell he was.
Those were two things he said that he wanted, right? Yeah. And those were not boxes that Fran Brown checked. But he won him over in the interview process and his plan and his detail, and so I think John Wildhack absolutely deserves credit for this hire, and this has been a great match for all parties involved.
Not everything's been roses in the Wild Hack era, but this one was good.
This has been great.
And it's the most important sport.
It is, and it came at a very important time. Maybe the most important time.
Yeah.
Most important sport at the most important time.
Right.
And they have
see if they
have
can,
righted the ship.
Yeah. And it's funny saying that where they might have a real struggle this year, and it's still righting the ship. D. Hayes, will McAllister be on today to discuss this? He'll be on with Brian Higgins today because he's busy during our show. So McAllister Monday has been traded.
Still McAllister Monday.
Yeah, he went in the portal for the day.
Yeah.
He'll be back next Monday. Something fishy, but I think there was tampering happening. Hey, we got an offensive lineman, lost a freshman All-American, and a quarterback's visiting. Could you maybe help a brother out in PM drive?
He wouldn't do that. I don't believe that. Maybe Brian would have done that. I don't think Mike would have done that. I don't think Mike would have taken him up on his offer.
Paulie appears in a good mood today, not arguing with everybody, because nobody said anything really stupid except for the guy who is downplaying the hiring of Fran Brown right now. I'm okay.
I mean, it is a factual statement that Fran contacted John, but I think, again, John Wildhack deserves a lot of credit for going through that process.
Taking the call.
and going with the guy that didn't meet all of his requirements,
Any of them.
but it felt like he's the right fit, and we're going to take a chance on him, and it's paid off. High risk, high reward, and it's paid off, certainly. 315-437-7644. A lot to get to on the show. I'm sure you watched a little baseball last night. And,
I did. I watched that. I watched the Yankee game, which had a crazy moment.
The Aaron Judge home run? That wasn't a home run? Is that
the
what
no-hitter.
Oh, the no-hitter, right?
That wasn't a no-hitter.
Yeah, right.
That was crazy. There was a lot of weird stuff going on in the world there.
That is true. Another great...
wrestling happened. I didn't watch a second of wrestling.
I was going to say another great golf tournament, too. A week after Rory ends his drought, Justin Thomas ends his.
I will tell you this. Wrestling and Syracuse basketball have a lot in common.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God. The Twitter nerds were so mad last night. I don't even know what happened. But, oh, my goodness. John Cena.
Did John Cena win?
Apparently.
Did he?
He won.
You're going to have to fill me in. Somebody's going to have to fill me in.
People are not mad.
After we made all these picks.
No, The Rock wasn't there.
No?
So, yeah, people are furious.
Was he was expected to be there?
Yeah, the lacrosse loss. It was a busy sports week. I don't know where The Rock was supposed to be, but people are mad he wasn't there last night.
All right.
And
well, somebody's going to have to fill
Travis Scott apparently ran interference.
The rapper?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that expected?
I don't know. How the hell do I know, Jordan?
I don't know.
Or Steve?
I'm Steve. Jordan is the one that can probably fill us in.
Kevin from Liverpool is now mad because he hasn't watched it. Spoiler alert. I was just reading I don't even know if this is true. I just saw it on Twitter. So
You're guessing that's what happened. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our first time out. Phone line's open if you want to check in. 315-437-7644. We will talk with Tim Leonard coming up at 12:30. That was a big loss for the SU men's lacrosse team on the road at Duke. That pushes them closer to the bubble. We'll talk with Tim coming up here in about 15
Last
minutes.
4 in.
Back
Last
after
one
this
in.
on ESPN Radio.
The transfer portal in college basketball is open.
Yep, an adventure into the totally unknown.
Listen here for the latest Orange basketball comings and goings.
On ESPN Syracuse.
Sorry, Kevin, I didn't know.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges.
I don't even know if that
You taught her
happened.
what to do when the smoke alarm goes
I
off.
just saw,
and to wear a
I
helmet
can't believe
when she rides her bicycle.
145-pound
You do
guy
so much to keep your child safe.
interfered
But are
in a
you
wrestling
using the
match.
right car seat for
No
your
Rock
child?
and
Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage
don't
of
know.
life.
They
For
didn't
information
seem
on the
happy
right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Sponsored by the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
If it makes you feel better, I don't know.
We have to age, but we don't have to grow old. At Richard Kim Medicine, our stem cell process is solving pain. Whether it's pain in your back, your knees, or your neck, let us help you feel younger. Come see the region's only stem cell expert for a free consultation. Richard Kim Medicine. Medicine that moves you. Call 518-871.
How is the concert? I heard mixed reviews. The sound is never. If the sound is good at the Dome, that's probably the best you're gonna get. You're never gonna have like a great sounding concert at the Dome. You go into it knowing that. It's a big brick building with a hard roof. See, someone just typed sound stunk, but I heard it was fine. Depends on probably where you're sitting, too. Are your ears still ringing, Jordan, like Kevin's? Firegate.
What do you want to talk about here?
I don't know. What do we got? Naheem's in the portal? Why wouldn't you just keep him if he's got eligibility?
But I mean, we don't know for sure if he does. I mean, Eddie put his name in, Lucas Taylor. Like, it doesn't mean.
Well, it sounds like this judge is going to allow JUCO people to just run rampant today.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Orange Nation. Lost a great one on this day, Steve. Prince passed away on this day, so it's Prince Day. Every day, every April 21st, we will do this. Play nothing but Prince songs. You remember this one?
Of course.
You Got the Look with Sheena Easton, 1987. Banger. Have you got the look, Steve? You do. You're on TV. You got the look. I've got the radio looks. Do you put makeup on before your shows?
It's funny you should say that. I told you my uncle and grandmother were in town. My uncle asked me that question yesterday.
I don't think I've ever asked. I've worked with TV people before. I can tell when they have makeup on. I don't know if you've ever.
I do wear makeup. I put it on before I go on the air. I do not have makeup on now. But when I'm on TV, yes, I have makeup on.
You should put it on for this. We're on camera also. And I have to look at you.
I haven't even shaved yet today. Let alone put makeup on.
Grizzly Adams over there.
Yes, I wear makeup.
Yeah. Okay. You heard it here first.
No, I'm pretty sure.
It's funny
most
that
people
you'll
probably
just
do that.
like you'll announce that, but I want you to talk about picking up dog waste in your. Oh, I wear makeup.
Not by choice. It's required. It's necessary.
Okay, let me ask you something else about the transfer portal. Is Naheem McLeod in the portal? Is that what I'm seeing? And does he had a year of JUCO, right?
So we said this after the year that we thought there was a possibility that he would have eligibility left because of the fact that he did play junior college. I think there's some gray area, right? Because he played 2 years at Florida State, 2 years at Syracuse, did have some injuries, including
He's got the best case out of him, Taylor, and
I would think so.
Lampkin,
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yes. But he has played 4 years. Like 2 at Florida State, 2 at Syracuse, outside of the junior college. But, could he maybe get something back for, his first year at Syracuse when he was hurt so much?
He got hurt at the the first ACC
It was 14 games, so it's technically it's over that threshold of the 30%.
Yeah.
But, could he petition? Maybe they make an exception and get it back. I feel like everybody's getting waivers these days. Yes, of the Cuse guys that seem like they're out of eligibility, he seems to have the best case.
Of the Cuse guys also, would you want to keep him?
Yeah, again, this goes back to
same exact role he had this year.
Yeah, this goes back to if it's not really costing you anything money wise, why not? You got to fill out your roster. You got a big body who has played there, knows the system, knows the guys, knows the coaches, knows the guys. I mean the staff and whatnot. Obviously, much of the team is different, but yeah, to come in and give you spot minutes if there's an injury or foul trouble or sure, yeah. And I assume it wouldn't really cost you much.
And today, for the JUCO players, I think at least, right, there's a judge that's going to rule about the eligibility of limits. I tried to read the article and I couldn't understand. I'm more than willing to admit it's convoluted. But he's basically going to put a hold on limits for players for the NCAA.
And my understanding is part of it, too, is once your eligibility clock starts ticking, technically it's supposed to run out within 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is it stops the clock from ticking.
Yeah.
If it's injuries or transfers or whatever, you could step away and, 3 years later you could decide to pick up your eligibility and you would that eligibility would be waiting for you.
Yeah. But there was mention of this was only for people that had played junior college. It's crazy.
Right. So if you start playing junior college, your eligibility clock would not be ticking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's part of it. But
that would help Naheem because he would have 4 years with 1 more year of eligibility.
Right. Again, under the old rules, though, you had 5 years to complete 4. Technically, he's already completed 4, right? So he would, under the previous rules, he would still have to get a waiver for a medical hardship for his first year at Syracuse, for instance, in order to have a year left of eligibility. But as you said, of the guys who entered from Syracuse, he seems like he would have the best case because he played junior college and because he dealt with injuries.
Yeah. I would think, though, this late in the game, if he's entering the portal, Syracuse has no plans for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how he would see the floor unless it was an emergency type situation.
I would say a Jeremy McNeil type role where we need you on the back end of a press if we ever press, and you just stand there.
Yeah, but even with Jeremy McNeil, he saw some minutes. I don't see how Naheem, especially now that they have 2 centers, I don't know the circumstances he would get in the game unless it was injury related or, both of the centers were in foul trouble and you tried to pick up 3 or 4 spot minutes from him to, get you through the end of the first half or something. I
still feel like they need another center.
Yes, but you said you don't think he's in their plan. I agree with you. I don't think he's in their plans. I think we saw what we saw from Naheem. He is what he is, and if you could bring him back at no cost, and he didn't mind playing that role, he's a veteran guy who's been in the system. He's got size. Sure, you would take him, but
it always seems like he's having fun.
He does. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd have no problem if he came back. I think it's just a case of they don't plan to use him, and he probably knows that.
Yeah. He'd be the third string center, it appears.
Yeah.
But they need a third string center.
I think that would be helpful,
Unless they have plans of using
Donnie at the 5.
Yeah.
In spot
Which you could
cases.
see. You can see that.
Yeah. I mean, I think
get him and Sadiq White on the floor at the same time.
Yeah. Maybe that's again, against certain opponents, that probably works. You probably can't do it against everybody, but if you want to play small, that would be an option. But yeah, I don't know what Naheem necessarily brings to the table for you at this point, other than just an emergency backup plan if something goes very wrong. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if these guys get that extra year or not. The Lampkins and Taylors and McLeods of the world, and if they do end up getting another year.
I don't see how you could if you're a college team, you've got to go get your players. You can't be waiting around for this, right?
You're talking about the case of Syracuse?
Any of these guys that are asking for waivers. You can't wait for Eddie Lampkin to get a waiver.
Oh, sure. Right.
You got to go fill your roster.
Yeah. I mean, the NCAA moves on their own timeline. We know that. And we saw that, most recently with the Kyle McCord situation. What was taking so long? They ruled on it. He appealed it. Just hear the appeal and let the young man know one way or the other what's happening. Yeah, the way that they drag things out. And then it worked out to the NCAA's benefit because they dragged it out long enough that McCord made his own decision and then they didn't have to make a decision. So they didn't have to set a precedent. Well, we'll never know what would have happened. Anyway, they definitely work on their own timeline. At their own
and I'm
speed.
not waiting. If I'm any college team, I'm going out and getting my players.
Sure, of course. And again, I think Syracuse is in a situation now where they've filled their key spots, and they don't necessarily have a starting job to sell, right? They can't say, "Well, come in, you'll be our starting point guard," for instance, or come in, we've got a lot of minutes for you at the 3. That doesn't necessarily exist right now. So they're going to have to be very strategic with how they fill out the rest of this roster, and we'll see where things go.
What exactly do the 2 newly signed centers bring to the table? Athleticism. I don't think they're looking for the center to be the focal point of the offense this year. CBW asks in the chat. I think they want guys that could get up the floor, guard the rim, and rebound and be bouncy.
The defending part is really important because I think we saw, as good as Lampkin was at times this year, especially the second half of the year, he was not good defensively. And Naheem McLeod certainly was not good defensively when they put him in a pick and roll situation. And Peter Mastorovich, we saw he got some opportunities in key defensive spots, and he didn't come through, right?
That's not what you want.
You need a center who can defend, I think, first and foremost. And I think they found, to your point, athletic guys who can defend the rim, defend the pick and roll, and are not going to hurt you on that end. And they're not going to hurt you on the other end. They're not going to drop 15 points a game.
Yeah.
But the hope is they could score around the basket. They could get some points underneath doing the dirty work. And they can defend on the other end, and they don't hurt you on either end of the court. Because this year, I think we saw they got hurt on one end of the court.
Yeah, and they're 2 guys, they didn't play a lot last year, but they also were good enough to draw interest from Power 5 schools.
Yeah, and one of them was the Defensive Player of the Year in his conference the year prior. So he can defend.
We saw a point guard do that once.
Oh, well, okay, that's fair. But
let's go to Tony.
Tony, how are you?
Good, guys. How are you?
Good.
Paulie, I like the Padres beating the Astros and beating up on other teams, so thank you for that.
No problem. I did it all myself.
Well, you're the fan of them, so when I watch them play teams like that, I think about you. I got a question because you can get confused with this with the portal. So I know the portal closes in 5 days in football, and I'm not sure about basketball.
It closes this week in basketball, right? I think. Yeah. You just can't enter anymore after that.
Right. You can still take guys out. You just can't put your name in once the portal window closes.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I want to make sure. Because obviously these guys would have to hurry up and make a decision. So, all right, so it closes for entering, but does it just go on forever?
They're basically free agents until you fill your roster.
Right, correct. Until somebody signs them. Yes, but they have to get their name in by a certain date, but they could come out at any point.
Okay, well, let's hope some come out to us. So, but thank you.
All right, appreciate you checking in, Tony.
Yeah, that. By the way, him bringing up that game last night, that was scary when Arise.
Yeah, we happened to be watching live. I turned the game on because it was just starting, and
you don't expect to see that in a baseball game,
no.
like a collision like that, where a guy gets knocked out on the field.
And my 4-year-old was like very concerned, like he didn't understand what happened.
He was apparently back with the team before the game ended, but
he was okay.
Yeah,
good.
but
it was very scary.
He's probably in concussion protocol and probably going to get his jaw checked out.
Yeah, that was quite the collision. I'm glad he's okay. All right, Ryan in Virginia's up next. Hey, Ryan, what's up?
Steve, how are you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Excited for this NFL draft. I'm thinking it'll be the most Syracuse guys that have been drafted in one draft in, I don't know, maybe 10-ish years. I didn't hear the first part of the show, but I'm curious, what do you guys think the over-under would be on the amount of Syracuse guys that get drafted this year?
So I think there's a pretty good shot at 4. I think, McCord is going to go definitely. Gadsden's going to go definitely.
Yes.
I would think that LeQuint is going to go definitely. I think Diggs is probably going to go. So I think that's 4.
You think LeQuint will?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think
is he better than Sean Tucker was? Or is it just the year in the draft that makes you think
I think it's possible that he might have a higher ceiling, given his pass catching ability.
You're hosting a national draft show that is going to be all over the country.
Yes, okay.
By next time, people say, I'm just asking the expert.
Okay. You didn't have to be salty about it.
I wasn't salty. I was
you say it with a smirk. Okay. Sure you were.
I don't know. I didn't know if he was.
Elijah Clark is, I would say, probably not. But it's in the realm of possibility. I think there's a good shot at 4. And if it is 4, I want to say 2000. Is it 2008 the last time they had 4? 2006? It's something like it's more than it's almost 20 years since they've had 4 guys go in the same draft. I know the last time they had 5 guys go was 98. So it's you're talking almost 30 years since the last time they had 5 guys go.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I was promoting your event.
You were. You were being so nice about it.
I was. The next star stations all across the country be looking for Stephen Fownie. Let's go to Dave. He wants to talk about Steve Angeli, Notre Dame quarterback, apparently visiting Syracuse today. We've mentioned that already for those of you just tuning in.
Yeah, guys, I'm completely miffed by this because we know Fran Brown is a man of his word, right? And he's proven that over the time he's been here. And he has told Ricky Collins, you are the starter. He's told us, Ricky Collins is my starter. I named him early, and we want to get him playing 90% of the snaps in practice. And yeah, we come on today and say, Steve Angeli is not coming here to be a backup. And the whole system or lack of a system here has me miffed by this. I cannot see Fran Brown going back to Ricky Collins and saying, well, now you got to compete for the job.
They're getting paid now. They're getting paid now. I don't feel bad for any of them.
Yeah, but Fran Brown, to me, I think he is a man of his word, and he preaches that all the time. It's just Fran Brown. I can't see him doing this. I can't see him now going to Ricky Collins and saying, well, now you got to fight for your job after he's told him you are my starter. It just seems very unlikely to me.
He also said on our show, Orange Nation, 12 to 2, ESPN Radio Syracuse. Yeah. I just wanted to probably credit our show for that interview. I'll be the first one. I just wanted to. He also said he was looking for another quarterback. So
he did. He said he was going to sign somebody.
We all kind of thought he's looking for another one for the room, the backup.
Yeah,
a backup.
But if you
Or
can,
like a Georgia
if
State
you were
guy.
him, you know, are you more worried about what you said or about getting better?
I get that. I'm just looking at this man, Fran Brown, and I have a hard time seeing him go back to Ricky Collins at this point. And I get it. It's the pros now. Unfortunately, I hate it, but it's hard for me to see Fran Brown after he's told his man, "You're my guy." He's such a man of his word, and I just can't believe this guy's in here for a visit. I mean, it's happening. So, like you said, it's happening. So, and the kid isn't coming here to say you're definitely going to be the backup. It just confuses me. And the loss of Murad Watson is the biggest loss I think we've had this year. I guess I'm calling just to whine and say I hate the system or the lack of a system.
All right, we get it.
Yeah, it does put coaches in an uncomfortable situation. It puts the players in an uncomfortable situation. I get that, and I think we all share in your frustration, Dave. I guess part of it, to me, Paulie, is we don't really know how it was phrased to Ricky Collins.
Right
was
now
it
you're our starter,
right, or you're number one on the depth chart coming out of the spring, or I don't know, or we don't know how it's being pitched to Steve Angeli. Could it be that he said, "All right, our starter's Ricky Collins. You have a chance to come in and compete, right?" And maybe Ricky Collins goes into this. I don't think it's a maybe. I think Ricky Collins goes into summer camp as the starter, no matter who's on the roster. He's earned that, and if he gets beaten out, I think it's just like anything else. Like nothing's set in stone. Like if you're the starting point guard and some freshman comes in and beats you out. Like, that's the way it used to work, right? Like, if you were a junior or senior, you're the starter, and some new, whether we're not talking about like free agents or transfers, a freshman comes in, beats you out, you're going to play the guys who are better. So I understand Dave's point about it's uncomfortable, but if Ricky Collins is the starter, then he should be able to beat out Steve Angeli. And if he doesn't, then Steve Angeli should be the starter if he comes here. Now, I don't know if he's going to come here and know that he has to compete again once he's here. He may want to be handed a starting job. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I don't think if Ricky Collins loses his job, I don't know that would say that Fran's not a man of his word. He's going to go with whoever deserves to be out there. And so Ricky Collins is the starter right now. And if somebody beats him out, that's not Fran Brown's fault. That is, there was a competition and that guy was better. So I don't think it means he's going back on his word. I know it's semantics, Paulie, but do you agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't think, people are now starting to say that this is a shot at Ricky Collins or it's, Pena was right. No, they probably have confidence in Collins to be their quarterback, but if you can improve, you improve.
Right. You get a guy who has played more college football.
It's not a whole hell of a lot more.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's, he did start a game. He started a bowl game 2 years ago and had a really good game against Oregon State. It's somebody that, like with Kyle McCord, you had personal ties, what kind of young man you're getting, right? So I think that matters to Fran. I think everybody's just got to let this play out and just kind of, cool down, let the dust settle about
enjoy it,
about what this means with Ricky Collins and
seriously, right now we're complaining that a guy who was recruited.
I think Dave's point is let's say Angeli goes somewhere else. Does now Ricky Collins take that as, well, maybe they don't actually believe in me? I think that's part of what he was trying. I think that's part of what he was trying to say.
Yeah, but it's a business. It's a business now.
Right.
And come on, a guy who got recruited by LSU is named the starter, and a guy who got recruited by Notre Dame wants to come possibly play here or at least visit. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
Right. Right. No, I'm 100% with you. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's certainly not a bad thing for the team. Is it an uncomfortable thing for Ricky Collins? At the moment, probably. I'm sure he doesn't like hearing that.
Uncomfortable.
Right. But if you're that good, go out and win the job. Let the best quarterback play and lead this team. And right now, the best quarterback is Ricky Collins until it isn't.
We had some, as a Syracuse fan, I could say this. We had some years where I would have loved to have a problem of having highly recruited quarterbacks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you.
Drew Allen, Cam Dantley. There was.
Cam Dantley beat Notre Dame.
I'm not taking shots at anybody, but it goes
Terrell
Hunt.
You go after McNabb, after the Michael Vick incident, and it was
there was some slim pickings there.
Perry Patterson was okay.
Yeah. But
I mean, he's not a Hall of Famer. Like, he was.
There was some slim pickings for many years.
Remember that Joe Fields ended up in the NFL as a DB.
I will never forget that first game.
That game he played at Purdue.
Oh my God, he was like thrown to the wolves, and it wasn't all on him either. It was just it was a disaster. I felt bad for him. I mean that game. I feel like that game solely destroyed his confidence.
Yeah, ended up being a great player.
Yeah. All right, we're way behind. Let's take a timeout. We're going to bring on Tim Leonard next on ESPN Radio.
Look, our interview with Fran Brown is on the Pat McAfee show right now.
I had my class did a live hit today about the spring game, and then they, as part of the exercise, they had to do like a Q&A on the back end. And one of the questions that the kid had the host ask him was about Trevor Pena leaving. And he was like, yeah, Fran Brown appeared on a local radio show and da-da-da. I was like, really?
You can't even get freaking respect in your own class?
I know. I was like, really? A local radio show?
Mastering 5-star customer service. The CH team strives for this all across central New York. When it comes to your business and what matters most, you have to have the right policy in place and the right team to back it up. A policy and a promise. Protect your business and what's important to you. Read about our success stories in social media and online at chinsurance.cc. Let's talk. CH Insurance in your corner.
Nothing stops America, and nothing stops Ram. Ram trucks are now available with employee pricing for all at McGuire Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Syracuse. Now you can shop our massive inventory of new Ram trucks and pay what we pay with our Freedom of Choice pricing program. Pick any Ram truck and choose your offer, cash incentives, or employee pricing for all. Either way, you win. McGuire Chrysler Dodge.
Yeah, Ryan, it was a little bit of a slap in the face, but it's okay. I feel like somewhere along the way, people forgot or didn't learn how to properly credit a source. There's been a lot of that going on the last week. Saw a bunch of people were crediting The Athletic with what Fran said because The Athletic picked up on it.
The most wonderful time of the year is almost here. Celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Napa Auto Parts Syracuse Nationals, July 18th through the 20th at the New York State Fairgrounds. You got a customer classic car, street rod, or truck from 2000 or older you want to display? Head to SyracuseNationals.com to fill out your registration form. While you're there, grab your camping
Funny shirt,
too.
Steve. Fancy.
I like it. Is that Nautica?
Nautica, yeah.
Wow. If I know the brand, then it's fancy. Yeah.
I got it for $14.99 at Marshalls.
That's a good deal.
I gotta go get tires. I
just got tires.
I gotta go to the doctors after
Tires
the
are
show.
so expensive.
On all the top Chrysler Jeep models, Compass, Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, Pacifica, you name it, we have it.
Steve and the A-hole. Should we call the show that? It's time for Steve and the A-hole. I bet you McAfee would have said it then. Look at the name of this show, Steve and the A-hole. You guys want to know why I'm happy? You want the honest truth? I fucking love ham, Steve. I eat so much ham. I'm all salt-filled and water-retention Paulie right now. I didn't do any fornicating. I had ham. Ham is better than fornicating. God, it's my favorite cut of meat. I didn't get a Robbie-Roo. I got ham.
Home and office hot deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing too.
And
a new chair?
Chair. Oh, it's time to sit.
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order.
Tire rack. All right, I'm going to try that. I'm not hollowing out the ham bone. I'll hollow out the ham if I'm going to do that. Just pop the bone out.
Tim's here, right? In studio?
Yeah. It was when I was done with it. was funny, Steve. Come on.
But we can save you money when you bundle your home. Get a quote at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Listen to ESPN Radio Syracuse.
Hammer fornication. That's like a bad morning radio bit on Steve and the A-hole. Hammer fornication.
Does Tim know he's coming in? Tim, if you're out there, we can use you. There he is. There he is. No worries.
When doves cry. Prince. We remember Prince on this day. Steve, do you know what the last song Prince performed was?
The last song he performed?
Yeah. So it was the encore at his concert on the Saturday, I believe, before he passed away.
This one?
No.
Okay, why are you looking at me like
I'm
that?
waiting for you to guess the song. Come on, man. It's easy. He's got an album named after it.
Movie, Party Like It's 1999?
A movie named after it. He was known for wearing this color.
Purple. The color purple.
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain, yes. Yes.
Sorry.
Why should I know that?
Because, come on, man. Come on. You should know that.
Okay, now I do.
You're better than that.
Okay. Purple Rain.
Hey.
Now you know, Tim.
I just want to share one thing with Tim, too.
Oh, this will be good.
People in the chat were asking me why I'm in a good mood. And I don't know what it is, but I love ham, Steve.
Yes,
and I
you
had
do.
ham this weekend, and it was so good. Ham is my favorite cut of meat, and I hammed it up this weekend, and I'm a happy ham man right now.
I thought you were going to say because there's actual bubble talk to discuss, but that would be too sports related to make you into a good mood.
No, just ham. Syracuse lacrosse on the bubble, but shouldn't be.
No.
That was a bad loss from what I know about lacrosse.
So the day that I was out recently, you had Tim on, and you came back from commercial, and you were just like, Tim Leonard's here. Tim, lacrosse.
Yeah.
Could you do that intro again?
Okay, hey, Tim.
Why
Syracuse,
are you making it happen again, Steve? I was so excited that you were back.
I'm going to change it up. Tim, Syracuse Duke, not great.
No. Yikes.
There you go. Yeah. So what happened?
It was a tough one. The offense just really struggled. I think it was a case of Duke being a desperate team and really needing to win. Duke went into this week as a team that was more on the bubble than Syracuse. Now after this game, their spots have kind of flipped in a way. Although really the ACC, all four teams none of them are locks right now into the tournament. They all have work to do. It's just weird how the conference worked out this year where we could see four teams make it, and the teams that are all going to make it to the ACC tournament will probably have to win a game in the ACC tournament or win a game in the final game of the regular season to feel good about their chances of making the NCAA tournament. So it is just sort of a jumbled mess past like Cornell right now. But, the offense just really struggled, and it's kind of the same discussion that we've had in the past when Syracuse has struggled on offense. They're not drawing slides, which if you don't follow lacrosse super closely, that's basically you're not beating your man initially to draw a slide is when a help defender comes over and slides over in lacrosse. And without drawing slides, it just felt like they didn't get a ton of great opportunities against Duke, and they didn't put a ton of shots on cage. They were struggling to shoot, period, as well. So really, Syracuse's offense is not built around a lot of dodging threats. It's built around ball movement. And when it's humming and the ball is flying around, it's as pretty as you'll see in college lacrosse. And it just feels like their ball movement was not to the degree that it was 3-4 weeks ago. Really, the last two games, the ball movement has not been as good. And I think it's because teams are daring them to score from the midfield, and they're not sliding to them. And it feels like teams are scouting Syracuse that way. And I do think they're definitely banged up as well offensively and playing through some injuries.
This is a team that is, they've lost 4 games total. 3 of those games are away from the Dome. They lost the neutral site game, and they're 2-2 in true road games. Is there a difference, Tim, between the way this team plays, on the fast turf of the Dome versus outside on the road, or is that just a coincidence, I guess is my question. Or are you noticing something in road games?
I think that has become a narrative around college lacrosse this year that Syracuse is struggling away from the Dome. And honestly, going into this week, I was kind of pushing back on that narrative because to me, the two games that they struggled were against probably the two best teams in the country right now, Maryland and Cornell. And I thought it was, the weather didn't help Syracuse in those games. It probably played more into the hands of a Maryland when they went down there early on in the year. But it just, to me, was like, okay, you're playing Maryland and Cornell on the road. You're probably going to struggle. A lot of teams would struggle in that situation. This game was more, okay, maybe there is something to the fact that at home they're a different team. And we'll see this weekend they get UNC now in a really important game at home. And it does feel like you like their chances a lot more right now at home versus how they're playing on the road. So, the way that they play on offense and, the crowds that Syracuse draws at home is like double, triple some of the crowds across the country. So having 11,000 fans there for their last home game against Notre Dame, sure, that definitely gets them juiced up. The players say that, and I think it does make a difference. I think there's something maybe, too, also their offense will just look better in better weather conditions, but this was like a perfect weather day down in Durham on Saturday, so you really can't use that as an excuse, and I don't think the grass fields really had a ton to do with it, but overall they do have a hole in their resume right now in terms of how they play away from the Dome.
You mentioned that this team is banged up. Who in particular are you concerned about right now from a health perspective as the postseason approaches?
Yeah, Owen Hiltz is the biggest one. I mean, he did play the entire game against Duke, but he's not 100%, or at least he was not 100% against Duke. I know he didn't practice at all throughout the week last week, and I think they were kind of not sure if he was going to play up until the last minute. And if you just watch back the Duke game, I think if you've watched Syracuse closely this year and you've watched Owen Hiltz closely this year, you could tell he never even attempted to dodge the entire game. They had him playing around the crease a lot, almost as just like a decoy. And I think there's something to be said for that. Like, he was still drawing Duke's second best defender throughout the game. And sometimes Syracuse wants to play 5-on-5 on offense or keep the face-off guy out there to create more space. So I kind of see the strategy they were going with. It's just a bummer because I think Finn Thompson is now back, and we saw him for the first time, and he's getting closer to 100% after missing the last 6 games, and now Owen Hiltz is banged up. And it looks like Michael Leo took like a stinger during that game and maybe wasn't quite himself for the second half as well. So it's an excuse that everyone across the country is making. Lacrosse, you get a lot of injuries. The other thing is Nate Levine, their short stick D midi, it seems like he tore his ACL during that game, which was, it looked like at least a serious injury, and he sort of left on crutches. So we'll see on that front how they kind of recover that position. So they've been banged up more than in recent years, but they are also a very deep team, and a lot of teams are dealing with injuries this time of year.
All right, so you mentioned a very important game inside the Dome against North Carolina. What is on the line? The winner of this one, in your opinion, safely in the tournament at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so if they win this game, they win the ACC regular season. They're the 1 seed, and they're likely playing Duke again. Duke would probably be the 4 seed. Duke plays Virginia this week. Virginia hasn't won an ACC game yet. That is basically a play-in game for the 4 seed. And I think if Duke takes care of business against Virginia, which they have actually beaten Virginia every year in the regular season since, I think, 2004. It's like a crazy streak. I think they probably will win that game. Basically, Syracuse is either the 1 seed in the tournament or the 4 seed. So they're probably going to be in the 1-4 game on Friday regardless. But if you're the 4 seed and you lose to UNC, you would be playing Notre Dame. If they lose and Duke wins, and Duke's the 3 seed and Syracuse is the 4 seed, they will draw Notre Dame as the 1 seed, and Notre Dame will be looking for revenge. They lost to Syracuse in the regular season. They're the 2-time defending national champs. So, I mean, I think we said going back to kind of the start of conference play, what does Syracuse need to make sure they make the tournament? I think we said they needed to win 2 games, and they've won 1 since then. I think going back to after the Virginia game, we had that conversation. They beat Notre Dame. They've lost the last 2. It would just be a really tough look, I think, in the committee's eyes if they lose their last 4 games, and then you're looking at a resume that has really declined over the last month or so. But I do think, given where the ACC RPI rankings are right now and everything, there's going to be at least 3 ACC teams to make the tournament. And if you are just one of the top 3 resumes from the ACC, you'll be in there. I think there could still be 4 teams that make the tournament out of the ACC. The problem is if there's a bid stealer, the ACC would probably then become a 3-bid league instead of a 4-bid league. So you don't want to be susceptible to bid stealing.
Last lacrosse question before we move on quickly to other things. Let's say that Syracuse beats Carolina and makes the NCAA tournament, regardless of what happens in the ACC tournament, regardless of what happens with their record. Do you think, just on face value, this team is capable, good enough to go to a Final Four and contend for a national title, or has your opinion of this team changed the last few weeks?
I think they need a healthier team than what they have right now, and I don't know the extent. I mean, you hope that Owen Hiltz looks more like 100% this week, because I just think, he had 6 points against Cornell. I think he's one of the best players in the country. If anything, he's underrated. He's such a smart lacrosse player. And to me, he's a guy that they would need him at 100% to make it to championship weekend. And they probably just need to tie up some things defensively and offensively going forward. But yeah, given where things are in lacrosse this year, Duke is probably now going into this week thinking, yeah, we can make championship weekend. And last week they were, having conversations around Durham probably, how are we going to make the tournament? That's how quickly it can change. If they beat UNC on Saturday, which I think they will beat UNC, it's a home game. They played really well at home. They're now kind of the desperate team like Duke was last week. If they win that game, they're really just back on track to the same conversations we were having throughout much of the year, which is you should be hosting and you should be looking at potentially getting a championship weekend.
All right, a couple of quick women's basketball questions before we go. Kristen Sharkey named head coach at Buffalo. How big of a loss is this for Coach Jack and her staff?
Yeah, big loss. I think she's a great coach. I think it's awesome for her as an alum. Played for Coach Jack, then was an assistant coach for Coach Jack when they took Buffalo to the Sweet 16, and very well deserved. So I think, a dream come true for her, really, and makes a ton of sense. Definitely a loss. She was not in the recruiting role like she was a couple years ago when she first started at Syracuse. Kyrie Carter is now the recruiting coordinator, kind of head of recruiting. So I think given the timing of this, it's good in a way that she's not like overseeing the portal or recruiting and stuff like that as much as maybe Kyrie Carter. But yeah, she was, helping the bigs and the post player sort of role or post-player coach. So I think it is a tough loss. I'm sure they'll find someone as quickly as possible and try and fill that spot.
And then lastly, some additions out of the portal for the women. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think they've done an all right job to this point. No, headliner, but they're bringing in a lot of players from power conference level. And the question is, can they develop them and kind of prove that these players are maybe being underutilized at the likes of Miami and some of the power conference schools that they picked up. Auburn, they got a post player from. So I think overall they've addressed the positions of need in the portal. It's just going to come down to how quickly can they develop the players that, didn't put together a ton of production at the power conference level.
All right, Tim, great stuff as always. We do have to run. We're a little bit behind here. Andy Staples from On3, National College Football host. He'll join us next on ESPN Radio.
People want to know if you had ham.
Yeah, I did. I had ham this morning.
Oh, nice. Double ham.
I did not have ham.
We know. You're weird. We get it. What did you guys have? Lamb?
So we had a really big brunch. We went to Bellevue for brunch at noon, and we ate a lot. And then nobody was hungry for dinner, so we had some leftover flank steak from Saturday. So that's what I had for dinner. It was steak and potatoes.
T-Takes had chicken parm for Easter.
See, that sounds great, T-Takes.
But he probably had parm, not just chicken. I thought I was lobbing you a softball with Purple Rain.
Well, the way you looked at me, I got confused because I thought you meant it was that song, and I was like, why would he end with this song? So that, and then you said, what color is he associated with? So I said the color purple.
And what color is the rain he sings about?
It's purple.
Thank you. Wasn't the color purple a money also? I'm cutting out on the carbs, so I just had ham. I ham overloaded. So if you guys ever think I'm grumpy, send me ham, and I'll be happy. I'll be like, fire Coach Autry. I've had ham. I'm just right off the bone. It was honey glazed, and it had pineapples and cloves on it. It was good. Good ham. Delicious ham. Went to my aunt's house. Saw the cousins, my brother and his sister, my sister, one of my brothers and my sister. Matt from Auburn says when Prince played the Dome, he ended the show with a 20-minute long version of Purple Rain. That's a storm, Steve. That's a purple hurricane.
Yeah.
That's like a
flood watch in effect.
That's a front. Weather jokes. Oh, we had stuffed artichokes too. That's a family tradition on Easter. Ham and stuffed artichokes. I had to eat those. Those are delicious. Will Andy answer my ham question? Brian? It's weird that ham changes my mood for at least 48 hours.
I'm the same way with chicken parm, so I get it. Lasagna sounds good. Showbro Michael.
A lot of white and creamy in that. Regatta?
Not necessarily.
What?
Not necessarily.
This was the final song, Steve, that Prince played in his life as we honor Prince on this day, Purple Rain.
So it would have made sense to ask me the question like now.
No, because it was more of a trivia question.
Opposed to the last segment where you're like, Steve, was it this song?
No hints.
Okay.
This was the last song he played at his last concert. And we were just talking in the chat, Steve. It is weird how ham changes my personality. For at least 48 hours, I am a happy man after having ham.
Good Easter ham makes you happy.
Yes.
We know that now. All right, let's go to our guest line as we kick off hour number 2 here. As promised, we bring on Andy Staples, national college football host for On 3. Andy, thanks so much for the time. How are you today?
Doing great. Now, best Prince song ever. We ready?
Yep.
Place of Your Man. It's incredible.
All right. Paulie nods in agreement. So I think Paulie,
seven. Like I like Prince a lot. 7 is my favorite Prince.
Oh, 7 is a great song. That's it. I showed my kids the Prince Super Bowl halftime show in the rain in Miami.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, wait, all the ones we've seen in our lifetimes really suck. And I was like, yeah. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, right. He had a legendary concert at the Dome way back in the day also that people
still talk about.
Yeah, the videos of it are amazing.
Yes. All right, Andy, let's talk some college football with you. And I guess let's start with the news that we saw first reported by On3 that Steve Angeli, Notre Dame's backup quarterback, is in the portal looking to find a new landing spot and apparently will visit Syracuse, is visiting Syracuse to check out what Fran Brown has to offer. We were a little caught off guard by it, given that Fran had recently named LSU transfer Ricky Collins the starter. What do you make of this Steve Angeli situation? And do you think he would go somewhere to be the backup, or if he signs somewhere, he's going there to be the starter? Correct.
Well, I don't know if there's a lot of places where you can sign and go somewhere to be the starter, because we're watching that now. So Joey Aguiar, who was the Appalachian State starter last year, he'd gone to UCLA. He is now without a starting job because Nico Iamaleava is going to UCLA. We're trying to figure out where he goes. Like, there's not a lot of starting jobs open right now. So the other thing with Angeli is it's unclear whether he was going to be the number 2 at Notre Dame or the number 3. There's another guy named Kenny Minchie, who people are pretty high on. He's a little bit younger. The thought is C.J. Carr is going to be the starter, but maybe Kenny Minchie was going to be the backup. I don't know. The way I would think it would have handicapped that one is Angeli would have been the backup. So would you be leaving Notre Dame where you would have been the backup? Probably to go start somewhere. My thought was he's good enough to start somewhere. But the question is, are there any jobs anywhere? Maybe Purdue, maybe Minnesota. And like you guys said, Fran not only named Ricky Collins a starter, but he'd made a kind of a show 2 or 3 weeks earlier saying, I'm just going to name a guy. Like, I'm not going to play these games of, will I be able to keep these people? Are they going to leave in the portal? No, I'm just going to name a starter. And he did. Like, he followed through. So, yeah, I'm unsure what that means. But the other thing you could say is, I was a walk-on under Steve Spurrier, and he always said this about quarterbacks. He's like, how come we don't treat it like every other position? Like, the left tackle's job is always up for grabs. What's the difference?
Yeah. It's a good point. Since we're talking quarterbacks and, you bring up, the situation out at UCLA, what do you think is going to happen at Tennessee? Who's next there? Who's next in line?
Well, that's the question, because I think at this point they're not going to shake loose an established starter. You saw that Josh Hoover, the TCU starter, it came out in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that he turned down. They're reporting a $1 million raise from Tennessee. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but we did hear even before Nico took off at Tennessee that if he left, that Josh Hoover is one of the people that they might reach out to. So it makes sense that all of this is sort of shaking out the way it did. But Josh Hoover's staying where he is. All these other Big 12 established guys are staying where they are. It doesn't seem like somebody's shaking loose that could come and just be the starter there. It may be a situation where you have to sign somebody to compete with the guys they have, because they have a redshirt freshman named Jake Merklinger, and they have a true freshman named George McIntyre. And you wouldn't want to go into the season with just those two. Like, preferably you'd want to have another player, not necessarily the guy who starts, but somebody who's taken some snaps at the FBS level. And that's why I just wrote a column saying Joey Aguiar, the guy who's leaving UCLA, like, not to be your starter, but to compete, yeah. Why not look at that?
We had Fran Brown on our show last week, that infamous interview now, right, where he talked about the Trevor Pena situation. Go ahead.
I've never heard someone misquoted more. Like, people just did not get that. Like, all you had to do was listen to the 30 seconds before he said that to know he wasn't actually talking about Trevor Pena asking for $2 million.
So along those lines, I'm curious what you thought of. I'm sure you heard the interview. It sounds like you did, and how Fran handled it. And again, he definitely made it clear. He's like, I love the kid, but this is what happened, And then he kind of laid out there in full transparency, kind of his side of how it all went down. And of course, the comments that got picked up were that part of it, not the part where he's saying, I love the kid, I'd do anything for him. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the transparency, the being brutally honest, the laying it out there that it was, he asked for more money. He was getting well paid. What did you think about that? Because we're not really seeing that around the country from other coaches. Were you fine with that interview, how it was handled by the coach?
Of course.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, and Fran's been consistent in every interview he's ever done.
Yeah.
Like, Fran's the same guy. He's not putting on airs. He's not trying to be somebody he's not. I love it because you know a lot of these coaches that are kind of car salesmen and they act one way on the air and another way off the air. Fran Brown is the same guy either way. I love it. Now, the part I thought was interesting, and this was when he was talking to you guys about Pena, and he was talking about the actual reasons. Like, one of the things he said before the $2 million comment was, he said, hey, he's not a coach, he's a player. I got the sense that he's talking about, hey, this guy maybe is not as sure about this offense now that Kyle McCord's gone, and he's got some suggestions. And perhaps we don't need that from the peanut gallery.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and we love it too, by the way. I mean, it's refreshing to talk to somebody who actually gives you, real answers, and you ask for insight, and they actually give you insight. So, we were, we love talking with him as well. With Trevor Pena, he's not coming back. Where do you see Trevor Pena landing? You think he's going to Penn State? There's some talk about Miami. Are you hearing any other schools that are involved right now? Where do you think he ultimately lands?
When I saw he was going to Penn State on a visit, I was like, that would be just perfect for Penn State because that's what they need. They need somebody at that position that can be a reliable target, that can pick up, consistently catch the ball, pick up yards. And Trevor Pena is not necessarily like a massive break. He's not going to average 23 yards a catch or anything, but he's going to catch a bunch of balls and produce. And that's something that Penn State has not had at the receiver position in a long time. They had a run there where they were producing one or two pretty good receivers a year. But the last 2 years, they just haven't had anybody. Like even Keandre Lambert-Smith, who went to Auburn last year, wasn't terribly productive at Penn State. And so they threw 100 passes to Tyler Warren last year at tight end. But that's not how you want to run your offense, ideally, even if you have an elite tight end like they did. So you go to the Orange Bowl, not a single receiver caught a pass against Notre Dame. And yet Penn State has got the ball with 2 minutes to go playing for a chance to play for the national title. So imagine if they had one or two effective receivers. They could compete for national title. So if he winds up there, I think that would be a really good fit. Miami has always been a very aggressive portal spender. They're in a situation where they lost a couple of really, really good receivers. Xavier Restrepo, I don't care what he ran in the 40, going to be good in the NFL. The guy just catches balls. But they've got to replace a lot of production. So it wouldn't surprise me that they are in the mix there. But I think Penn State, if they could make that work, would be phenomenal for both parties.
Andy, what do you make of the ACC as a whole? We saw last year that they were able to get 2 teams in the college football playoff. There was some concern that they might be a one-bid league, but they did get 2 in. Do you see the ACC's profile, getting better in coming years, or do you think that gap between where they are and the Big Ten and the SEC, that gap's going to get wider in the coming years?
Well, the gap is going to be between the middle and the lower tier teams. Because the top of the ACC is competitive with the top of the other 2 leagues, but the middle and lower tier are not even close. They're not going to be close. And that's the issue: is can everybody get on board like the way Mississippi State gets on board, or the way Arkansas gets on board? Like they don't have that
right
at the bottom tier schools in the ACC, and they didn't always have it at the bottom tier schools in the Big Ten, but now they're just so flooded with money. I don't think there's a choice. If you're Purdue or if you're Rutgers, you got all this money, you're going to start spending it. So I think that's the issue. Now, I do have a question for you guys because you're in Syracuse, so you might know these things. Like, what did John Wildhack or the Syracuse president do to piss off the ACC office this year? That is the most brutal schedule they could have given anybody. Like, I know, we're going to make you play 4 teams in the league on the road. Notre Dame thing is the scheduling thing because it's part of the ACC scheduling agreement with Notre Dame. So, like, they're getting as tough of a draw as you could possibly get. And it's not like the SEC where almost all the draws are tough. It's in the ACC, you can get a really easy one. Like, look at North Carolina's schedule this year. super easy compared to everybody else. But Syracuse just got jobbed.
Well, I think, as you said, I think going into last year, everybody thought Syracuse got handed an easy schedule, and I think they overcompensated.
I guess
greatly.
Yeah, it doesn't get much tougher than this, right? You've got 4 college football playoff teams from last year, all away from home. Beginning with Tennessee and the neutral site, plus the 4 road games that you're talking about later in the year. It's about as tough as it comes. Paulie, you got something?
I did. I wanted to ask one more ACC question. Was last year for FSU an aberration, and do you think they'll be back this year?
Not necessarily back to what they were 2 years ago, but I cannot imagine them being that terrible because I don't think Mike Norvell forgot how to coach. I think last year was just a perfect storm of you had the wrong quarterback. The team did not mesh with the guys coming out of the portal that you thought were going to be your leaders. Everything went bad. I can't imagine them being that bad again. Now, that said, I don't think they jump back to 13-0 from that. But I think they should be fairly competitive in the ACC, and we'll see. I mean, Thomas Castellanos has played – so they hired Gus Malzahn to run the offense, and Gus was basically getting run out at UCF as a head coach. Thomas Castellanos comes from Boston College, obviously, so within the league, had played for Gus at UCF, so knows this offense. They're excited about that. I don't know how excited I am because – obviously, Boston College was moving on from him at the end of last season. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how they do. But I don't think Mike Norvell forgot how to coach. So, I do think this is going to be a competitive team that probably has a winning record. But it's not going back to being dominant because, look, guys, Clemson is awesome this year. They were really good offensively last year. Defensively, could have been coached better. They're going to be coached better now that Tom Allen's the DC. Miami's not going anywhere. They're going to stay good. Louisville, I think, is going to be really good. Louisville had the bad draw like Syracuse did schedule-wise. I don't think SMU's going anywhere. I think they're going to stay good. So, and I think as long as Fran's at Syracuse, I think they're going to be tough. I'm excited to see what he does in year 2 because I think people are attributing a lot of success to getting Kyle McCord. Now, you guys know the history of it. Obviously, Fran and Kyle McCord had a relationship going way back. There's a reason all of this stuff happened. But I'm excited to see what he can do with a team that is more fully, his construction and more of his recruits out of high school. I'm very excited because I think Fran is one of the absolute rising stars in the coaching business.
And Paulie, I brought up that NIL summit a couple weeks ago, and Kyle McCord was there, and he actually mentioned, we had heard this, but I hadn't heard him actually say it. It came out of Kyle McCord's mouth that he said he took he could have gotten twice as much to go somewhere else, but he took a discounted rate, for lack of a better term, to come here to Syracuse, given Fran, given his ties with some of the coaches on the program.
Now, how often is it that Kyle's mom worked or Kyle's dad worked with Fran's wife back in the day? How often is that going to have that connection? But you look at some of the other connections, like Fadil Diggs is the guy that Fran obviously recruited out of high school, but Fadil chose Texas A&M. A lot of those Jersey connections from the recruiting, but I am very excited to see Fran build this program in his own image.
Should be interesting given that schedule, Paul.
Yeah, let me ask you that before we let you go. What would be a good year for Fran Brown with his schedule that you were just saying it's done?
7-5 would be tremendous.
Yeah.
And I know that's not going to make anybody happy to hear that, but that schedule is so freaking hard.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I think people would sign up for 7-5 right now, given how daunting this schedule looks. Andy, thanks so much for the time. Great insight. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we can have you on again down the road.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, Andy Staples joining us from On3. With that, we'll open up the phone lines the rest of the way, 315-437-7644. Back after this on ESPN Radio. All right, how do you want to get back on time?
I'll do that next.
Do you want to end at 52, or do you?
No, we'll just take a quick second here.
Okay.
Oh, no. That one stings a little bit here. Watson's from New Jersey, the home area cultivated by Fran. Honestly, to me, this is harder to take for me than Payne.
4 to 6 on ESPN Radio Syracuse.
Shep Family Funeral Homes is one of the oldest family-owned businesses in Central New York. We're committed to offering you the highest quality of service at the best value. We can work with you at your pace within your budget, whether you're choosing cremation or burial. service at any one of our modern locations. Special events take planning. A funeral should be no different. Start the talk with us today. Shep Family Funeral Homes. Traditionally fine service and facilities within the means of all.
Make every day legendary. Luxurious finishes, elevated comfort, and modern technology. The 2025 BMW X7 is here and ready to exceed all expectations. Worked hard to get here. Now enjoy going everywhere else. Lease an all-new 2025 BMW X7 X-Drive 40i at Burdick BMW for $1,019 per month for 36 months with $8,489 due in Sunday. Cash down includes $6,545 capitalized cost to reduction, $1,019 first month payment, and $25 acquisition fee, and $0 security deposit. Not all customers qualified for security deposit waiver. Tax, title, license, registration, and dealer fees are additional fees due in Sunday. MSRP of $88,875, 10,000 miles per year included. Excess mileage charged at 25 cents each at end. Lessee responsible for excess wear and tear. Qualified lessees through BMW Financial Services with a minimum credit score of 700. Offer valid through April 30th of 2025. Burdick BMW, your performance and luxury headquarters. Farmers Village in Cicero. Visit Burdick BMW.
Ooh, it's cold in here. Damn.
Drive up the thruway for a day of decadence at the Utica Wine and Chocolate Festival this Saturday, April 26th at the Adirondack Bank Center at the Odd. This Saturday, April 26th at the Adirondack Bank Center. Sip your way through unlimited samples of the region's most delicious wineries, plus offerings from distilleries and cideries. Enjoy a trip to the chocolate fountain. It's the Utica Wine and Chocolate Festival this Saturday at the Adirondack Bank Center at the Odd. Get your tickets now at wineandchocolatefestivals.com.
Used cars? Well, we've been a Syracuse staple for credit approval. Bad credit, no credit, good credit, bankruptcy. We've been saying yes while the others are saying no. Over 20.
All right, my ham's wearing off. My ham high.
Salt City deals are here. We're on a mission to save you money while supporting local businesses. Only at saltcitydeals.com can you double your money on gift cards to local restaurants and businesses all over Central New York. Each week will feature a different business.
They changed the ruling on a hit 3 innings after it happened. It was the right call. On the no-hitter.
Can you call up the play? I didn't see the play.
Nope.
They ruled it an error initially, and then they ruled it a hit.
See if I can find a video. Oh, here it is.
Found it? I was just going to go get some water. Is that? Oh, yeah.
This one's going to be tough, and it's booted by Goldschmidt. So Simpson will reach.
We are way behind. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back on Prince Day on Orange Nation. No, he died on this day. What happened on our Instagram? Thank you, Pastor Tiff. I haven't had a hot take all day. That's why it's so cold in here.
Do you want me to line up Mario for Friday in case I can't make it back on time?
What?
Do you want me to line up Mario in case I don't make it back on time?
Thursday?
Friday,
yeah.
just in case.
Yeah.
My plan is to
Be back.
yeah.
Hey, you guys, no show on Thursday because I don't know if you know this, but Steve is going to be on a show that is optional for Nexstar stations all across the country. Is it optional or are they
This
forced?
one is not. This one,
Oh.
all ABC Nexstar affiliates have to run.
Oh,
leading
you
up
don't
to
even get. You can't opt out of Stephen Fonte. That is amazing. What an honor to work with you. Thank you, promo.
You are an a-hole.
I'm promoting your show. What time is that on, Steve? Nexstar.
7:30 to 8 on Thursday,
So Q's
leading
Vegas.
up to the draft.
There you go. Look for Steve on your Nexstar stations in Vegas if you have any. Frank Chicago. Nexstar. San Diego Q's Nexstar. We're worldwide. At least nationwide. See, he wouldn't even known it if I didn't tell him. Nope, no shows by myself. I'm not allowed. I need Steve's. We need one adult in the room. I'd be talking about a ham for 2 hours. I have a doctor's appointment after the show, Steve.
Today?
I have TMJ and I have to get my jaw looked at. It's from yapping so much. From screaming at idiots in the Q Sports Talk chat.
Does that hurt when you chew sometimes? Does it hurt?
It hurts. I have to sleep with a night guard and it crack. Like sometimes I'll just be talking and it'll go pop out a joint really loud. You should Biolus Cox. What does that mean? It sounds dirty. Bite on less? Is that? Oh, blow. It was just. I thought it said. I thought it was like a medicine. They're gonna see if I can do Botox. I thought he was like blow less Cox. Gotcha. Yeah, I should. At least till it heals. Why take the fun out of my life? I don't think I need a prayer for that. Save the prayer for somebody who needs it. I just have a cracking jaw. Double it and pass it on to the next guy. Welcome back to Orange Nation. Remembering Prince on this day. Passed away on this day, Steve. I would die for you. Spelled I would die for number 4 you. Thank you. Waiting on Jordan. You and I bet we did our wrestling picks.
We did.
Blindly, no idea. And I don't know how we did at all.
I know I picked John Cena, and you, according to you, he did win.
Yes, but I couldn't see it.
Well, we do need Jordan in here to properly fill us in.
Because that is very important. That's way more important than today's business.
Hand up. Thought it was a quick segment here.
We already did it. Our quick segment was so quick.
Well, I know, but
we did it.
We're still running a little
Yeah,
behind.
we
at
did this whole
point.
thing last week. We're not going to do it again. Let me ask you guys a question. 2 matches had a participant changed. I'm going to ask you guys now. It's very important, actually, to the final standings.
Okay.
Would you guys like the results of those to be voided, or would you like
to pick them now because we didn't see them?
No. You're not picking them now.
Oh,
Your
I was ready to Google.
Yeah.
In one of them, the other person won. In one of them, it was a tag team partner who switched. So I can give points for each of them, or we can void them.
I think our what we picked is final.
Yeah.
So leave it the way it was.
Okay.
Grade it as you see fit.
So I have already given you guys the points for those. I predicted 8 correctly. Steve predicted 4 correctly. And Paulie, with the benefit of 2 potentially voided outcomes, got 5 correct.
So
damn.
You would have been tied if we had voided.
I went again. I'm on a hot streak.
You are on
I'm
a
on
hot streak.
burner.
Well, I'm glad you got 8 right because you actually watched. So I'm glad that you.
It kind of ruins a little bit of it sometimes, being able to know what's going to happen. But it was still good. It was good.
So any surprises?
Oh, wait a minute. I got
What?
9. That's
Congratulations.
Good for you. So tell us, like,
hold on, save that. We've got an expert coming on to go down on Wednesday to break down. Sam Roberts is going to come on and break down the wrestling. We'll have Jordan come on and do it then.
Okay.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll do today's business on ESPN Radio Syracuse.
Okay. Sounds good.
There's a show that had a Fran Brown interview on that station.
That's us.
Cheating? I know you know.
Where'd you go? There's a place called Skeleton Bee that just opened that Tim told me I had to try.
How is it?
I mean, the coffee is just coffee. They're more sandwiches. The guy used to cook for Larry Bird, I guess. So that's cool.
Does Larry Bird eat chicken? Because that would be cannibalism. Bird bracket. Guy who cooks for Larry Bird. 16 seed. I looked at your cup.
Was that spicy? I wasn't trying to be rude. That was me saying we argued about being late or not being late last week. I don't want to do it again. That was maybe the opposite of rude.
They didn't have cold foam again today. That's completely unacceptable.
You gotta stop going. Rude would have been, oh, that was a quick segment. Why did I come in here? That's why I wasn't in here. How's the draft show going, Steve?
I will be glad when it's over.
Hello, all. Atan and Devo will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Easter Monday. Gotta tune in tomorrow.
Yes, Phil. The show will air from 7:30 to. So the first show we did already aired. It aired this past Saturday. The second show we're doing is airing live 7:30 to 8 on Thursday, leading up to the draft coverage.
On all next star stations.
He asked if it was airing on Channel 9.
Oh, of course. That'd be funny if they're like, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Pastor Tim. There's a SoundCloud page, but also because of the issues you told me about, it was just a replay.
I would die for you. Oh. About new jeans too, Steve.
Those?
Yeah, fancy pants.
What brand are they?
I honestly don't. Michael Kors.
I don't think they make jeans.
Yeah, there's
do they?
no chance.
Sure they do.
Michael Kors makes jeans?
Yeah, I bet she'd. I think that's who it is.
I
Stand up, turn around.
can't see those being Kors jeans.
They're fancy. They're a fancy brand because I bought them at Marshall.
Yeah, it doesn't. Usually it's like a patch or something, but I don't.
I'll
see
look in a minute. Yeah, they.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Oh, yeah.
I think these are. That's what
no,
they were.
Definitely are. Because look.
Gotcha.
What? Marshalls.
Yeah, the prices.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that's this shirt had a $74 tag on it. I got it for $14.99. So I shop at Marshalls. The one leg's probably way longer than the other on these.
Michael Kors must be getting out of the jeans industry. On their literal website, they're selling jeans with a $118 tag for $28.
Jordache. That's a good guess, Jen.
Who?
Jen B guessed Jordache. Do they still make Jordache jeans?
I didn't know that was a jean. I thought we were making a joke like
I feel like if you wear
DoorDash.
Jordache jeans, you have to wash your hair with like Vidal Sassoon. I'll take 70s and 80s products.
You guys
for
didn't talk
1,000.
about the. You guys were just talking about the Yankees thing during the break, right? You didn't really.
We
talk
didn't.
about it.
I mean, he briefly mentioned it, but we didn't get into it. No.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Way to ruin the best Prince song. Jordan.
Electric word, life, it means forever.
Let's go crazy. Is it possible to have the greatest start to a song and the greatest end to this song in the same song? That's
That was the middle.
that was the beginning, and this ending is just monstrous. If you ever get a chance, watch Prince at the Billboard Music Awards. Billboard snubbed him in the greatest guitarist of all times. And he did My Guitar Gently Weeps with Tom Petty and a bunch of other guys, and he smoked it. Time for today's business, brought to you by who?
Grossman St. Moore CPAs.
And what's their website?
GSACPAs.com.
What you got, bro?
So you guys briefly touched on this, talked about it more during the break on Q Sports Talk, but I didn't even care about the play. I cared about the K. That's Michael.
I get it.
Thank you. When the Yankees had that no-hitter going, Max Fried against the Rays, then the guy changed the hit to an error. Obviously, it wasn't good, but they go into the booth. They zoom the camera in on the scorekeeper, and Michael K just went off on the dude.
You see the line, and no, you didn't miss a batter. I am absolutely flabbergasted, ladies and gentlemen. The official scorer here at Steinbrenner Field, a man by the name of Bill Matthews, has changed the Simpson E3 into a hit while the Yankees are in the dugout. Just unfathomable. Either you call it when it happens, you don't wait 3 innings to go by. It's just unbelievable. And there is Bill Matthews, and he's going to have a lot of questions thrown at him, and he's going to have to give some pretty good answers, because I can't believe that this just happened.
Yeah, he got the call right.
What does he mean he's going to have to give some good answers? I've never seen a scorekeeper interviewed either.
Yeah, like, come on, man.
Like,
Give
what
the
is
guy a break?
Is Michael K going to go at him with a microphone?
Isn't it like everybody's arguing now? We got replay. Let's get this crap right. It was a bad call to start with.
It was a bad call to start with. To his point, though, how do you let that go to the point where it gets to the 8th inning, he's got a no-hitter, and then you change it? Why did that not get changed sooner? Why didn't that get changed during that half inning? Right?
I mean, maybe there was discussions being had. Maybe MLB, maybe the people at the main office called and were like, "Yeah, this can't go down as a no hitter with that." You know, a perfect game, whatever the hell it was.
I'm with you in that. Well, it couldn't have been a perfect game because the guy reached base. But yeah, I think that I'm with you in that it was the right call at the end of the day. But I also understand, like, if you're a Yankee fan or you're part of that franchise, or in the case of Michael Kay, like, why he's upset. It should not have taken 3 innings to overturn it. You do it in the moment. Okay, you got it wrong in the moment. You do it at the end of that half inning, and then everybody is on the same page. But to wait until the 8th inning and he still got it, that was I can't believe they overturned it. Like, at that stage.
They do it all the time in baseball.
Not when there's no hitter going.
What's
though.
annoying about it is, like, obviously, like a casual, I go back to Armando Galarraga and his no-hitter he didn't get. Because it was out versus safe and it impacts the game, you don't really go back and change it. But because this is hit versus error and doesn't impact the results of the game, then you go back and change it. But it impacts...
Bringing up the example
stats.
that you bring up, that was 2 outs in the 9th when that happened. Like, you could have overturned that one, in my opinion, right? If it was, well, they got it wrong. He was out.
But there wasn't a replay back then.
I know.
They should do it now, because I feel like I've seen they went back and, like, oh, yeah, like a month ago, this guy got a hit. We're going to give it to him. What are we doing? I see what you're saying. I feel like they're less inclined to change things that impact the score.
Yes.
But
No,
it
I
all
get that.
impacts history. So
Right.
either change stuff or don't.
I guess my point is the only time you could change an out call would be if it was the final out of the game. That's my point. Is you could say, you know what, we got it wrong. The game was actually over there. Give him his no hitter type of thing. But it is, I don't know. It was poorly handled. Can we all agree on that? It was poorly handled yesterday, how it all went down. Yes, they got it wrong initially. I think they got it right at the end of the day. You can't wait 3 innings, though. You can't wait till it's 6 outs away from a no hitter to make that call. In my opinion,
I'm going to throw this out too. Like, no need to put the camera on the guy and call him out by name. You never hear the scorekeeper's name.
Yeah,
this
come
guy's
on.
gonna get like mail and whatnot.
Michael Kay went over, like he doxed him like on TV.
There was no need for
it. Was overboard. He got the call wrong. Like everybody screwed up at work. He didn't need like public humiliation.
I know there's been a lot going on this week, so I'm not gonna harp too much on it. But any takeaways from the playoffs so far? I would say the craziest one is the Thunder just dismantled the Grizzlies to the point where Shea played less than 25 minutes. And it kind of speaks to the point we've heard made by analysts. Do we need full rounds in the first round of the playoffs? Like maybe we could shorten these or something like that. Also, the Warriors, who are the 7 seed, beat the Rockets, kind of expected based on the gambling lines. And the Cavs and Celtics took care of business. Did anything stick out? Because that Thunder game was what stuck out to me. Just laughable.
I think the
play-in, like Miami surviving the play-in as well and getting to the playoffs.
I thought the Clippers had a great chance to go up 1-0 on the Nuggets and steal home court advantage of that series, and they wasted a really good opportunity. Ended up losing that game in overtime. And now, obviously, advantage Nuggets you said, do we need full rounds? It's unfortunate because, like, the 1 versus 8 and the 2 versus 7, those are going to be blowouts, and I don't think you necessarily need a full round for those. But the 4s and 5s and, like, that Clippers-Nuggets series, I think it's going to be a great series. Even the Warriors-Rockets, I think, has the potential to be a really good series. So I don't think they're going to certainly shorten these series, but you're right. There's only a few worth paying attention to right now. The Pacers surprised me, the way they handled the Bucks in Game 1.
They were favored by, I don't remember, I want to say like 7, something to where I was a little bit surprised.
I mean, they smoked them.
Dame's supposed to come back, though. So
yeah. And
that'll be huge.
There's only so much Giannis could do. I mean, Giannis was great, but he can't beat the Pacers by himself. But I think there's 3 or 4 series worth paying attention to in this opening round. The Thunder are really, really good, and I think that they're the favorites in the West for a reason.
Also, Lakers got smoked early. Last thing I have, I know we already talked wrestling. I really just want to play this because John Cena's a bad person now. I sped it up, and I made sure it wasn't too long. But last time he did a press conference after a pay-per-view, he just dropped the mic and left. This time, he started it off with, as the last true champion, my job is to facilitate a relationship with the media, and I will therefore answer all questions tonight. And So he did. He answered all the questions.
I wanted to ask about the aspect with The Rock, the alliance there that was seemingly formed at Elimination Chamber. Could you shed some light on how and why that came to be?
That's a clickbait question and lazy reporting. Next.
I wonder if you could tell me a bit about your mental and physical prep this year and how you're feeling now.
That just seems like a clickbait question. That's pretty lazy. Next question, please. ESPN, very reputable media source. Hopefully a great question.
Can we see you some again now that you got your 17th title?
You know what? That really seems like a clickbait question. I think you should be ashamed. I'll field one more question. Give it your best shot.
Are you feeling reminiscent about, being able to do this and set yourself apart from every person that's ever set foot in this company?
That seems like a clickbait question. I'm beginning to sense a pattern here that you guys are just looking for headlines. So I'll give you one. Tune into Monday Night Raw to see how I ruin wrestling. And keep in mind, you are now talking to the last real champion. Step your game up next time.
If you were there as a member of the media, obviously there's a little bit of playing along that comes with wrestling. Would you be kind of mad now that you've gotten 2 press conferences and you just won't say anything? Like, how would you, if you were there reporting on that, Steve, like, what's your reaction? Are you like, all right, I respect the hustle, or are you like, come on, dude?
No, that was funny.
Give me a quote.
I mean, it's...
What is he going to say?
It's all scripted, obviously.
I just did what they told me.
Right, exactly.
I was just doing my job.
I don't think you can be mad if you're covering something that's scripted. And if that script plays out and you're part of it, I don't think you can be mad about it.
Fair enough.
I think going in, that's kind of, you know what you're getting into if you're going to cover wrestling.
That's all I got. I enjoyed that. That's kicker-esque, but...
Dateline.
Did you see Stone Cold crash the ATV? Did you guys see that?
I did not see.
He ran
any of
it right into a wall, and now the internet's worried that the person who fell, because there was like a woman in the crowd who fell, is going to sue. It was a disaster. It was a disaster.
Did not see it. I did not see any of it.
He just crashed his ATV right into the wall. I figured you might see it on Twitter.
LA's fragile urban canopy was dealt a vicious blow this weekend when a chainsaw-wielding vandal cut down a number of shade trees along South Grand Avenue in downtown Los Angeles. There's a tree-cutting vandal on the loose in Los Angeles, an urban town with not a lot of trees.
Still on the loose.
Yeah, social media images showed numbers of trees just laying on the streets. Oh, my God, look at this. Guy just cut down all the trees in Los Angeles. That's weird, right?
That is very weird. Yes. Do they not have cameras? Like, I feel like are they in front of businesses, houses?
Maybe he hid behind the tree as he was cutting it down.
I have no thoughts. I hope they find him.
They're what are known as drought-resistant Indian laurel fig trees. And they thrive in the dry Los Angeles heat, and this guy just cut them down.
What a weird way to use your time.
Yeah.
Trees provide a myriad of benefits in urban areas. Did you know that? They capture storm runoff water.
Well, sure, trees are important. Yes.
It slows the deterioration of streets.
Tree bracket.
It cleans the air. It gives you shade in the hot temperature.
You can bark up it.
Shade can reduce human body temperatures by 25 to 30% throughout the day. So there you go.
Great for hammocks if you have a couple.
Don't cut down the trees.
Okay. With that, we will take our final time out.
Many noted that the security cameras are omnipresent. So video evidence should be available for investigators to review.
That's what I would think. That makes sense.
It was a L.A. chainsaw massacre.
We'll wrap things up right after this on ESPN Radio.
Why'd you smile so much at that one?
Tree brackets.
I said it.
Oh, the N-I tree.
Oh, that's a good one.
Squirrels can climb them. I was just reading what the benefits of trees are.
Paulie, Wes left me on red. My new phone tells me if they read it or not. Does he hate us?
Who's Wes?
Does he hate me? Durham? He left me on red. He didn't just ignore it. He's like, I want you to know I read it.
When did you reach out to him?
This morning.
What'd you ask him to do?
I asked him if he might want to come on this week, talk about the portal, because he's been on Twitter very passionate about the portal. Have you seen him?
No.
He posted something like, he was like, Matt, he's like, This guy just committed today, and now he's already at a different school. Like, what a world. And there was another, he's like, yeah, he spent a semester abroad in Atlanta, and now he's leaving. Like, he's just been super mad. I was hoping he'd want to talk about it. I feel like that'd be a good segment, just Western getting mad about the portal for 15 minutes. Hold on, what's happening in the chatty chat? NI Tree is really good. That's a great bit. I don't know, Ryan. He's probably in at this point. He's probably part of the thing. It's probably part of the show. Music Man Paul. Sounds like a wrestler gimmick name. Oh, birds can sit in them. Squirrels can climb them. All things I was thinking. Hold on. Just looking at the chat. Hosting a lot of guys. It's kind of electric.
Bowl of chicken, Batman.
Guys, I can now vouch for a Skeleton Bee. It is a restaurant with bagel sandwiches. It's on South Clinton Street where the M&T Bank is. I believe these chefs used to cook for athletes, including Larry Bird. I've been told. Very good sandwich. Check them out. Skeleton Bee. You know, like a bee with only bones. Wait. Do bees have bones? No, right?
They have an exoskeleton.
So skeleton.
I don't know if they're bones, but I know they have a skeleton. It would just be a blob of jelly or honey.
That's a good point. No, that was no,
hey,
that was a dumb question. Sorry.
I haven't gotten hit in the junk in a long time.
Okay. It's a great point by Pastor Tim.
I haven't gotten hit in the junk in a long time. Yesterday morning, I asked Indy if she wanted to go potty when we first woke up, and she somehow used my crotch as a launching pad to get off of the bed. It hurt. I don't know how a 13-pound dog somehow just crushed it.
That's good that it hurt, though.
It hurt so bad. I screamed and was rolling on my bed.
Huh?
I was like, "Oh, Indy, why? I love you."
You've seen
it hurt so bad.
I think it's Degree. They have the new full body deodorant, and they remade the head, shoulders, knees, and toes song, but it's crotch, under boob, and butt.
Would you put deodorant on your balls?
Well, it's apparently made for it. Probably no.
I think that's weird. I use baby powder.
I don't like that they made that a song. Like, I don't need them saying crotch, under boob, and butt. Like, just not a fan. Like, you don't have to sing that. Oh, Players Only. Great show. Players Only.
Wrong slogan. But who cares? Gotta update the slogan. You guys need a new catchy slogan.
We submitted the voice work and it didn't get through.
I was joking.
We have the sponsors are long because it's blank blank presented by blank.
Little Red Corvette. Steve has 17 of them. Prince, our artist of the day. Now, this might be the easiest vote in Orange Nation history. All right, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Your choices tomorrow are Poison, Bob Marley, The Who, or we remember one, Paul Davis.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Give me Paul Davis. Are you kidding me?
He's our guy.
All day. His picture is still up there. Come on.
That's right.
Yes, Paul Davis. I thought I saw that passed away on this day. Now I can't find it.
Can we talk about...
Don't tease me like that, Paulie.
We're still doing it either way. If you look in the background, this is a visual exercise, but around our Syracuse football poster, there are like 4 pictures of people in the corners. They're Jim Boeheim, local radio host Josh Grossvent, iconic musician Paul Davis, and independent wrestler Mike Skyros. Just in a little rectangle around our football poster.
April, Paul Davis passed away.
Grossvent?
Grossvent. People have...
Sorry.
So there's 2 dates. He passed away April 22nd at the age of 60, or, he died on the 22nd, April of 2008.
We're doing it no matter what.
Paul Davis will be our artist of the day.
Every April 22nd.
Yes.
It goes
Paul
Prince.
Davis.
Prince on the 21st. Paul Davis
on the 22nd.
Yeah,
How it should be.
All right. So Paul Davis. Is that true that today Paul Davis was born on April 21st? It's another one of those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or that's where I was getting confused. I was like, why is there so much Paul Davis news? So there we go.
So we can't have the 21st because of Prince, but he can have the 22nd.
Yes. Man, oh man. And Paul Davis was a handsome man. Died at 60 years old. 60 after surviving a gunshot wound.
That's right. I know that you generally don't do a lot of prep when it comes to Artist of the Day with the Nuggets ahead of time. Let's have some prep ready. I want to learn about Paul Davis tomorrow. Can you do that?
Yes, Steve. He was 60.
He had Davis can be a first name, right?
He was an avid
2
golfer.
first names. Oh.
Well, you don't have to tell me now.
And billiards enthusiast.
What was his handicap?
Save it for tomorrow. We do have to go. We do have to go.
I want to know Paul Davis's handicap.
Newhouse Afternoons coming up next.
He would have
Cody 3, Brian at 4.
Crushed Tim Leonard in golf.
We are back at it noon tomorrow. See you, everybody.